It's that time once again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Happy Camper Radio Show, the only place to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. It's episode 197, and Daniel is with me in the studio today. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
We've got an interesting topic today, something we haven't talked about before, paper plates. Do you use paper plates when you're camping?
Yes.
You know, not all paper plates are the same. I found that out recently, which prompted this episode. And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to look at all the options for those of you who use paper plates while you are camping. It's part of today's episode on Happy Camper Radio.
Happy Camper Radio.
And, of course, you can catch the Happy Camper Radio Show anytime, day or night. You can find us in the Podbean store and Myro Guide, Stitcher, podcast directory, the BlackBerry podcast directory, that is, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and now on Spotify. Daniel, I can't really get it out today.
You get it.
Okay, yeah, and let's Spotify. Let's get it right. And, of course, iTunes. So make sure you tell your friends to tune into Happy Camper Radio today. You can find us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Always find us on social media as well. Daniel, let's go over to the shout-out window and say hello to some fine folks there. Let's start out by saying hello to Darren Vincelli, George C. Carroll III, the fine folks over at Good Sam Club, Four Seasons Campers in the UK, they like us on Facebook, to Matt Hurt of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and finally to Telly Santini, who subscribes to our YouTube channel. Thank you all so very much, each and every one of you. And more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Would you like to be a guest on the program? Daniel and I would love to have you. Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. We'll make that happen. Anything in the world of camping is always up for great discussion here on the show. Well, Daniel, when is your next camping trip planned for?
Next weekend.
Really? Where are you going?
I'm going to a state park across town.
Okay. Is there rain in the forecast? Have you checked that?
Oh, that's a good idea.
I think you're going to find out there's about a 50% chance of rain.
There's a 50% chance of sun, too.
Okay, well, for that matter, you're going to be okay because you've got that pop-up camper. That's been sitting in the garage a little too long now.
Exactly.
And just kind of like my gear that's back in the shed. It's all parked and ready to load into the trailer and head on out. But I'm really hoping to get out very soon. In fact, we do have a camping trip coming up here, one definitely on the agenda, and that is going to be when myself and my brothers and cousins are meeting up in Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Okay.
Have you ever been up there, Daniel?
Not yet.
I've talked about this on one of the previous episodes. I can't remember which one it was. But Mount Airy is the home of Andy Griffith. You know Andy Griffith of the Andy Griffith Show?
I've heard of it.
We used to watch them as kids. I mean, it's probably a little before your time. And
I heard it was good when it was black and white, but when it turned to color, it went bad.
I never watched a color episode of it. I don't think I could.
We always watched it on TBS.
If I watch the black and white episode, Daniel, that brings back a lot of memories. I'm talking back in the day and when I had a black and white TV set. My family had a black and white TV set.
We had one in the 80s.
Hey, do you remember when color TV first came out?
I'm not that old.
You were considered
Not that old.
You were considered wealthy if you had a color TV set. One of the first color TVs that first came out.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, and and I was not one of the ones that had a lot of money. But I had a black and white TV set for a while, and I used to watch a lot of those good programs, Gilligan's Island, Gomer Pyle. And in fact, I was watching Gomer Pyle the other day.
Jim Neighbors.
Yeah, Jim Neighbors.
He was on Andy Griffith, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and, and they talk about Mount Pilot. I think Mount Pilot is kind of like the, what do they call that, Daniel? It's just kind of like the phony city that was never created. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was a fictional city.
Yeah, Mayberry.
Okay. But Mayberry... Yeah, that's what Mount Airy is all about. In fact, they have Mayberry Days coming up in September. And if you go on their website to look up Mayberry Days in Mount Airy, North Carolina, you'll find a whole lot of information right there. I would like to go up there maybe next year.
Yeah.
Since I am approaching retirement.
There you go.
And I'll have all the time in the world to do all kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we are planning to go up there the first week of June. And we're talking about maybe a 3 or 4 day camping trip. I'm going to load up the gear. I'm going to plan the menu. We're still trying to figure out how many folks are coming. I know my brother and my one cousin is going to be there, but we'll see if there'll be any others. And it's only about a 5-hour drive out of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to take me that long to get up there and get set up and just kind of kick back for a few days.
Cool.
And if the weather holds up, that's all I'm asking for, because it just has not been in our favor down here in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But, I hope you have a great time. What's the name of the campground you're going to be going to next week?
It's a state park over in, it's in the west part of town. I have to look it up.
Okay.
I don't know.
But you know something? You're going to have a blast. You've got all kind of camping gear, a lot of cooking gear, and you're just going to kick back for a couple of days, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you taking your pet with you?
No.
You're not taking Fitz?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, Fitz will be great company for you.
Maybe.
At least I won't hear him barking in the backyard while you're
Oh,
gone.
hey now.
I know somebody who's going to be taking care of him if you do not take him.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, but speaking of your cute little Sheltie,
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but to think about one of the hikers on the Appalachian Trail right now. Her name is Rachel,
Oh, yeah.
and she has a YouTube channel out there. It's called Hiking with Arrow. Now, we met Rachel. I think you and your wife did. I did not personally meet her. I saw her on the panel at the Appalachian Trail kickoff here about a month ago. And, she was really all pumped up about getting out there and hiking on the trail. They had her on the panel as one of the individuals who was hiking the trail for the very first time. They had some experienced hikers there that were talking, and it was a great panel. The whole episode ran about 45 minutes, and we do have it online if you would like to catch it. Gary Sizer, hosted the panel itself. But Rachel was all excited, and she was just days away from stepping foot on the Appalachian Trail, and she was taking her little Sheltie dog, Arrow, with her.
Yeah, I think she's through the Smokies Valley now. I've been looking at some of her videos lately. But anyway, back to your question before. We're going to Chattahoochee Bend. It's a state park west of the city. It's down by Noonan if people want to look at it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not really that far away.
No.
At least you're within 100 miles, so
Yeah,
you're
just a
a
weekend
short
thing.
distance camper.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
weekend
And
thing.
you take a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Send them into the show.
There you go.
Would like to see. And
Okay.
okay, and not don't take pictures of the bathhouse or anything like that. That's not necessary, man. But I want to see you cooking on the stove. Or is
Okay.
it going to be the boss lady's responsibility?
Hey, it's always the boss lady's responsibility.
Well, I can tell you what, I can say that you and the wife do eat very healthy when you're out. I've witnessed it. I've seen it firsthand. Myself, on the other hand, hey, camping is about just letting your hair down
Mm-hmm.
and having a great time. So, I cook up a lot of burgers, a lot of French fries, a lot of things that my doctor would frown at.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, when you're camping, that's what you do. And it's all about sitting about the fire and, relaxing and having a great time. But something, I'm not going to touch on it too much longer, but, Rachel is out there. If she's having a wonderful time, and like you say, she's in the Smokies right now.
She's through the Smokies, I think.
She has 7 episodes
Oh, yeah.
online, and you can find them on the YouTube channel. Just look up Hiking with Arrow, and you'll find it right there. She's looking to become the next thru hiker. And the neat thing is, she is hiking off and on with her cute little Sheltie by the name of Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminds me of Fitz
Yeah.
quite a bit.
He's a little
Okay.
smaller.
Yeah, just a little bit smaller, but, she's one of many people who do take their best friend out on the camping trail with them.
I could probably get her to call into the show a couple times if you want me to.
Well, we've already invited her, so
Okay.
I know she's got a lot on her plate right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's shooting these videos and she's hiking with a lot of folks, and so whenever she gets an opportunity,
Yeah.
she has the invite that she can call the show anytime, and just leave us a detailed message. We'll get her on the program, and I'm sure a lot of her folks back home would love to hear from her as well. Well, Daniel, today we're talking about paper plates. I take it you use paper plates,
I do.
all right, and probably have been doing it for quite some time. When I first bought all my camping equipment, I'm going to go back to the year 1987. And this is a time when I just reinvested in a lot of camping equipment. This is after I got here in the metro Atlanta area from Pittsburgh. and I left a lot of stuff behind. But when I came down here, I figured I was going to go ahead and start off brand new and get it all going again.
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and I bought the metal plates. I bought the metal cups. I bought the silverware. I brought everything that would be required for me to wash and dry and put away each and every trip. Now, it didn't bother me back then because, of course, nobody likes household chores, but when you're camping, you don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that any time that, you do go camping and you have your kids with you, that you do assign camp chores. My kids are grown and out of the house right now, but I remember when I had the opportunity to take them, everybody did their camp chores, and the kids really didn't mind it. At home, they minded doing the dishes, okay? But out here, it really didn't matter. Everybody had fun. It was fun all the way around. But after a while, I realized that, I'm watching all these other folks that are camping around me, and they're using their paper plates, and they're disposing of it. It's so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided, okay, maybe the next camping trip, what I need to do is start using paper plates as opposed to the metal dishware. There's nothing wrong with that. And now I know some people today that still carry with them the metal gear, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about here on the program today is the fact that not all paper products are the same. You can get the cheap paper plates. You can get the more expensive paper plates that are a little more sturdier, that handle your food better. And that's what I'm using right now for a couple different reasons. I don't know if you have experienced this before, but if you're loading up your plate, and a lot of times we do that when we're camping, we just pile everything on one serving on the paper plate. And if you're not balancing your paper plate right as you're walking next to the campfire or wherever you're going to dine out at, the picnic table or inside your tent or whatever, if you're not balancing that plate right, all your food is going to wind up on the ground. Have you experienced that?
Well,
have you ever lost a hamburger to the ground and let the animals finally end up eating it?
Here's what we used to do when I was a kid. We would get the paper plates, the cheap ones, but we would put them inside. It was like a wicker holder, and it was very sturdy. And you just put the paper plate inside of it to make it sturdy. Then you could do whatever you wanted, but it was kind of a reinforcement if you were using the cheaper paper plates. I know you can buy them now, but when I was a kid, my parents always used the cheaper paper plates, but we always put those holders underneath so that it wouldn't be as flimsy as it is. And I know what you're talking about with the sturdier ones, and that's good to use if you don't have the things. But if you don't want to spend a lot of money on the sturdier ones, which are more expensive, you can get the cheap ones. But I would definitely suggest to get one of those holders underneath that you can just press down the paper plate into it to make it work.
And I know which ones you're talking about, and I think our listeners can envision exactly what you're talking about as well. And they only run a couple bucks. You could probably even get them at the dollar store, if not your local Walmart or something like that. But, if you want to go that route, that's okay. To me, though, that's just something else that you've got to pack along with you. All right. What I have learned recently, and when I bought this brand new griddle that I had the opportunity to grill on for the very first time, I think we all agree that we really enjoy our food piping hot when it's prepared. Bring it right to the table, piping hot like you wouldn't imagine, like you wouldn't even get at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I like my food. I think that's the way we like all of our food prepared. But once I cooked for the very first time on this brand new griddle, I was using the styrofoam paper plates.
Oh, okay.
All right. They make them too.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the cheap kind that, will work very well in those wicker containers.
Well, I was thinking about the paper ones, actually, because I know the styrofoams, those have a tendency to melt, and I don't know. I don't really use styrofoam as much as I use the paper.
Well, I had some of those with me, and I didn't have very many left in the package, so I wanted to use them up. But one big lesson that I learned is when you put that piping hot food on those styrofoam paper plates, it's going to melt right through them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big learning lesson for me. Of course, not everybody's going to be carrying the big griddle like I have.
Right.
My brother, I bought him one after he really fell in love with the one that I purchased when he came down for my daughter's wedding, and we camped out over at the park. But he just had a great time with that. And recently, he took his griddle out for the very first time
Mm-hmm.
and shot me a video of it. It was so super. I'm glad to see he liked that. But I'm definitely into the paper plate thing now more than I am the metal plates and cups and saucers and things like that. But one of the things that I'm going to concentrate on more so now than ever is getting the very sturdy paper plates. And I found, because, we've got one of those Sam's membership clubs down here, you can buy them in bulk and buy them very cheap. I bought a huge stack, which of course I'm not going to carry all of them with me when I go on a camping trip, but they're going to do well for me and for everybody else that's going to be camping in my party. I like to take control of the kitchen when I go camping. I like to distribute the food. I like to have everything timed. Everything's got to be perfect when I go camping. All right, I try not to miss out on anything. All my utilities and utensils and everything is going to be there in place. And for our next episode, or not our next episode, but our next camping trip that we're going to have up in Mount Airy, North Carolina, I'm going to be set for it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about as along the lines of paper plates. But I really hope you have a great time while you're up there. Did you by chance get an opportunity to use that little propane grill that I got you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used it. Yep. That worked really good.
And you get about an average of 3 meals out of that one particular butane container.
Yeah, it worked really good. We do everything pretty much with this new pop-up. We do everything outside, last time we camped, it wasn't really too rainy every time we cooked, but we like to cook outside. We don't really want the smell of food in the pop-up. But like, as far as the last word on the paper plate thing, I think it all matters on what your setup looks like. I mean, if you have a pop-up with a sink and it works fine, then I think that, plates, metal plates or whatever kind of plates are fine. But if you just have like a rinky-dinky sink like we do, or you primitive camp like you do, I mean, it's just so much easier, like you said, for paper plates, because it's kind of a hassle, and it's just more stuff you got to pack. It's, like what you said. And, who wants to work while they're on vacation camping? So, I think that kind of affords you a little bit of a luxury to have paper plates as opposed to, metal or plastic plates or whatever.
Yeah, well, again, my argument has always been, if you're camping and you're required to wash dishes, and of course you're going to have your pots and pans, you got to wash them anyway.
Right.
All right. There's no getting around that. So if you're going to have to wash some extra metal plates and everything, so be it. I don't really consider that work. Some people may, but to me, it's all part of just being outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And, another way to look at it also, if you want to use the paper plates and forget about the metal ones, there's more time for you to spend at the fire by just simply discarding those paper plates. I don't know if you do this. I'm not a big fan of it, especially if the weather is dry. I try to keep a campfire going at all times during the day, and more so at nighttime. I'll just maybe put 1 or 2 logs on the fire during the day if I'm hanging around camp and I don't have anything else planned. Of course, if I go away, we put the fire out. That's just a no-nonsense thing you got to do. But some people, and I have seen this, and I'm not a big fan of it, when it comes time to dispose of their paper products, some people actually throw them on the fire as opposed to putting them in a trash bag.
Right.
All right. I don't like that because, you get all these little bits and pieces and everything flying all over the place. And if it's a very dry day, you don't want any of the leaves or anything around you to catch fire. You're dealing with embers already as it is. And I try to keep some water handy nearby just in case something like that happens. But I'm not going to add to the situation by throwing my paper plates and my cups and everything that I'm going to dispose of on the fire. That's not going to work for me. All right. And just about every campground out there, I'm talking the public campground and the private campgrounds, they have trash receptacles, and they have people coming by to pick them up on a regular basis. So bring yourself some trash bags with you, and you don't have to break the bank on trash bags. Don't go out and spend a whole lot of money on them. You can get them at the dollar store, get a nice roll of them. They're kind of flimsy, but as long as you get your garbage in there and get an opportunity to dispose of them at your local receptacle at your campground, you're good to go.
Well, what we usually like to do is we'll usually go to the grocery store and, buy everything we need. And then, when you bag your groceries and everything, just use all those bags as your trash bags. And we never really have to bring our own trash bags. We just use, the little tiny bags that you get from the supermarket or Walmart or whatever.
And that's why
just
money
use those.
is never an issue for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Rolling in it.
Yeah, but I always keep a roll of those cheap bags with me, and I keep them in my camping box. And it's just about time for me to go down there and do my inventory. I haven't done that since the start of 2019.
All right.
Go back there and just open up all those boxes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you enjoy camping and you take a lot of camping in throughout the course of the year, definitely do your first of the year inventory and make sure that you have everything and you don't miss anything or leave anything behind that you may need, because the last thing you want to do, and I've talked about this on countless occasions, you don't want to have to be running to the hardware store. You don't want to have to be running to the grocery store and just taking time away from the camping environment that you set out to be a part of. So keep all that in mind. Today we're talking about paper plates. We're just kind of jumping back and forth a little bit, and it's all about camping. It's all about having a good time. And look forward to your next camping trip, wherever that may be. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper Radio.
And this week, we are going to take you out to J. Strom Thurmond Lake to Ridge Road. Daniel, this is a beautiful campground, and it's not very costly. If anybody wants to go there, you can take your RV, you can take your tent, just about anything you need. And their campground season is open right now. It officially opened March 29th and runs all the way through September 28th. That is their peak season. All right. Ridge Road Campground is located in the scenic peninsula on J. Strom Thurmond Lake. It is one of the area's first campgrounds. The 70,000-acre lake and its 1,000 plus miles of shoreline provide excellent boating, water skiing, swimming, fishing, hiking, and picnicking. With the weather warming up, you can take in each and every one of those activities. This is a wooded waterfront campground, and it has beautiful views of the lake. It contains 63 sites with water and 50-amp electrical service. 6 sites are for primitive. That's where you'll probably find me. Amenities include flush and vault toilets, showers, drinking water, laundry facilities, a dump station, a playground is nearby. There's also a boat ramp, a dock, and a fish cleaning station. You'll find a link to it all week long on happycamperradio.com. Just go to www.happycamperradio.com and click on the featured campground site located on the right-hand side of the page. And if you haven't already signed up for a recreation.gov account, this will be a great opportunity to do just that. Look for the little blue button in the upper right-hand corner. It says sign up. You can click on that, create an account, and if you use recreation.gov campgrounds on a regular basis, it makes your reservation process go so much smoother anytime you use a recreation.gov account. But Daniel, this is a beautiful campground. It's part of J. Strom Thurmond Lake. It's Ridge Road, and it is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Skip Huber on happycamperradio.com.
And if you have a campground you would like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Make sure you include a link to the campground website. And that, of course, Daniel, is going to wrap up this edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. It's always a pleasure getting behind the microphone again, having a pleasure with you in the studio as well.
Woohoo.
I want to hear all about this camping trip you've got coming up, especially when you get back. Show the pictures, tell the stories. We'll talk about it on our next episode. Definitely,
All right.
that for sure. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. Do like I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper.
Woo!
And we're going to do our very best to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again real soon. This is Happy Camper Radio.
Happy